Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago. Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, I'm now being joined by the president of the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association, Mr. Curtis Douglas, as we speak about an issue that Tobago fishermen has been facing for a while, and that has been the relationship with Barbados fishermen when it comes to flying fish. So a special good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again once this morning. Kandace, well, we have a lot of stuff taking place in the fishing industry, but a lot of people are not aware of what is really taking place because, I mean, these are things, especially with the Bajan coming to Trinidad and Tobago waters and catching our flying fish, and they are trying to sweep it below the carpet. So I am just here this morning to let the fisher folks know and let the Tobagonians, the bona fide Tobagonians know what is taking place and make them aware of some of the development that has been taking place over the last couple of weeks in Tobago pertaining to that.
Now, I mean, if for the viewers who may not be aware, Mr. Douglas has issued calls, written letters, whether it is the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as we reached out to Barbados to sort of find a solution to this problem. So what's the latest where that's concerned?
Well, the latest with that, so those who now listen and all viewing and want to understand what is going on with the food security in the fishing industry in Tobago, basically we would have wrote, which is the All Tobago Fisher Folk, which have the legal rights to represent fisher folk on the island. This group was formed in 1996 to represent the fisher folks, and it was sanctioned by the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we would have wrote to the Prime Minister pertaining to the Bajan issue that come into our waters for years. And on the 12th of April, he would have responded to all to the ATFA on the 22nd of July this year, right? In terms that he would have thanks for the information, and he would organize everything, and then he would have had Trinidad and Tobago fisheries talk to Trinidad Barbados fisheries to see how best we could come up with a solution in moving forward. So about 2 weeks ago, roughly, we would have had a meeting with Foreign Affairs Trinidad and Tobago. And Foreign Affairs Trinidad and Tobago would have, basically what came out of that meeting, they would have asked ATFA to come up with a plan to how best we could have some kind of bilateral agreement between Barbados and Tobago and Trinidad about the flying fish, right? Now, I just want to make, to those who don't know, when you catch the flying fish and you damage the flying fish ground, it will be more or even impossible to get kingfish, dolphin, tuna, and pelagic species, the normal fish that we are accustomed to in Tobago, because they don't catch dolphin and these things in Trinidad. There's no mistake, no flying fish, right? So it is a Tobago issue, basically a Tobago and Barbados issue, more so Trinidad and Tobago as we are a republic. So out of that meeting, we would have ascertained, and we would have established that we, which is the All Tobago Fisher Folk, would have some conversation with our fisher folk and come up with a plan. Yes, we did came up with a plan because we already had a plan and a solution. But Mr. Carl Hector, who was part of the meeting, said, you know what, we don't need to recreate the wheel. We just add to it, which was very innovative. I said, okay, Carl, okay, we will look into that, right? So we would have sent off a 10-point plan for the Foreign Affairs, right? After we'd have sent out the plan, giving stipulation to basically, let me just give you a snippet of it. Basically, if the Bajans are coming in Trinidad and Tobago waters, one, you must have a license, and the license must come with a fee. The current license that they have, it says it speaks to 800 US. We would have upgraded that to roughly 1,800 to 2,000 for maximum, right? So I don't want to give too much of it, but I have to let the public aware what is taking place, because this was agreed upon meeting with fisher folks, right, and stuff like that, and presidents and fishermen. So that was one of the issues. The second issue, if they were to come into our waters, right, you must only catch flying fish, nothing else. Nothing else but flying fish, because that's what you are contracted to catch, flying fish, because they claim it is the national dish and whatever. We respect all of that, right? Two, you must follow the rules and regulations set out by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Meaning, if we say you cannot bring no contraband, you cannot do an exchange up on the high seas, you can't do any trading. You cannot do any trading, because when you start trading on the high seas, it's all sorts of things happen, and we have to learn to we have to protect our little community and our little island, our little bestest island in Tobago, right? Adding to that, we also decided that the type of gears in which they use to capture or to harvest the fish must be to a certain standard. You cannot bring fine nets whereby killing all the small flying fish and then again chance to grow. We can't allow that, because that will contribute to the detrimental of the flying fish industry.
And has that been happening?
That's been happening, right? And also what we would have observed why we came up with some of these plans is observation over 10 years. This will happen in over 10 years, right? So we also make it note that we will not be able, when you come into this island, when you come into our territorial water with the license, you must be inspected. You must be inspected with the type of nets you use. Now, I want to stop there, Kandace, because why I want to stop there, it have some perpetrators going around saying that they are representing fisher folks and are trying to add to it and say they are legal representatives, and they have no idea. Some of them don't even never own a boat, they never fish in their life, but yet they want to represent fisher folk and trying to undermine the hard work that ACTFA has been working and supporting the fishermen for all these years, right? So when I speak about undermining, I just want to speak to something that relates to us recently. So recently again, the Foreign Affairs is supposed to contact us, right? So here we are now, not knowing of what is going on after we would have made our plan. And they are trying to have a bilateral agreement without us, without any representatives from the THA, without the Chief Secretary, without us, ACTFA, all right? And I must say, kudos to Carl Hector. Carl Hector said, but how is this possible? Why would you, all right, host a meeting without the relevant authority there to represent? All right? Quite clearly, it is showing that Trinidad wants to be the Bajans to come to our waters and continue the disrespect and the abuse and the raping of our flying fish and harvesting of our flying fish to be continued for free. For free. And the laws on, I think, Section 23 state quite clearly that you are not supposed to come into another country without you have permission from that country. Permission. Kandace, the last bilateral agreement or agreement we had was, I think it was 1996 or as such, if I'm not mistaken, right? Whereby you come in with you come and catch certain amount of fish. No, we are restricting it because we need now to monitor data and pay special attention to our future as well. We are not against the Bajans, but there are rules and regulations set out you ought to follow when you come into someone's water.
What's going on with the population of the flying fish out there in our waters?
Right. So what happened, Kandace? Over the years, the agreement that they had, no one took the time off or paid any attention to collect at least even just basic data on the flying fish. So when fishermen is claiming that we are seeing a reduction in flying fish, they are saying that is not true. Why they're saying that scientifically shows that there is no data. So if there's no data, that never happened, right? Because I would have raised that same topic with an oil company, whereby I said in Plymouth, the same fishermen used to be catching schools upon schools of kingfish and dolphin and salmon. And they are saying, yeah, you may say that, but there is no data for that. So the government of Trinidad and Tobago had neglect or throw a blind eye to the food security while they pay more attention to the energy sector. Right? So they did not see it fit to collect data and to find out how much fleet of Barbadian boats is being fishing in our water, for how long, how much tons they are moving with, and how often they are moving with it, and the type of gears they're using with. But so there was nothing put in place. So if you to go through or go to Buku, Plymouth, and Belgrade and some of these landing sites where flying fish used to be knocking dog, as the local parlance may say, you will lucky if you could get 2 crates or even a crate, right? So quite clearly, if it's something that you used to be catching in abundance, and all of a sudden you've seen a drastic decline in it, and you are continuing seeing these big boats, practice, hence the reason why we would have started to investigate.
And from what, I mean, so you indicating that there is some data that's been collected by ADFA, and what, from that data, what does it tell us?
It tells us, the data that we collect so far, it tells us basically, one, there's 2 species of flying fish in Tobago we normally used to catch, which I'm talking on the local parlance, we call it the red flying fish and the white flying fish. The red flying fish have the fins on them are more red, and the more white one, the belly is more white, and you know, and stuff like that. No, what we are hardly seeing is that red flying fish. And secondly, what we are not seeing is the flying fish and them taking nets. All right. So, and we are seeing a reduction in men catching flying fish. They might catch a hose where one man might be able to lucky when the Bajans are not here, and they give them lights to catch the flying fish. They may catch about probably a 1,000 pound or whatever the case may be, right? But other than that, we have seen a drastic reduction in the landing of the flying fish. We would have also take data from the processors, because the processors are one who live livelihood depends on these flying fish, and they say there's been a drastic reduction. It's not that men are not fishing it, when they are not catching it because it's not there. And other thing that is contributing to that, the Bajans are giving the flying fish lights. So when they give them lights, they just have around the lights, so it's easier to harvest. So when the local fishermen go out to fish, they are not netting because they are accustomed to the lights. So they are not netting. So these are some of the major issues that we have in that our data would have shown, and our investigation would have revealed to us that is taking place in our little community, in our little island.
So where are we right now? I mean, what's going to happen now? What is ADFA's position?
Well, ADFA would have, as I said, what we would have done, we would have sent the 10.4 plan, whereby we've been able to have solutions to the problem. And we are expecting, I don't know, probably the Chief Secretary or someone from the THA to represent us at this bilateral meeting to speak on the behalf of Tobago. Because what it speaks to is that just that the foreign affairs personnel will just be the one to be able to talk, and because they are from Trinidad, they know what really, I don't believe they have really Tobago interest in heart. They have Trinidad interest in heart. So we need ADFA to be in some of this bilateral meeting, and the Chief Secretary and stuff like that, or whoever the Secretary of those Fisheries, Ms. Pantin, or whoever it may be, to be there. But we are the one really to spearhead this program, because we are the one that know what is taking place, and we also have a solution, a fair and amicable solution to solve this problem, and also to preserve our food security, not only for us, but for our children and grandchildren to come.
And that solution is the 10-point plan that you referred to earlier.
Yes, that is the 10-point plan where I'm talking about, whereby it's, because what we did not create, we just add, because we already knew what was the problem. We knew, and once you know what's the problem, we found a solution to the problem. And once that is adhered to, we shouldn't have any problem. The Bajan will be able to come and fish with a limitation, and Tobagonians will be able to catch and fish also, and to reap and harvest our fine fish, right? And the processors can live, the vendors can live, and everybody will have a downstream process where everybody will be able to live and also to feed the family and also to contribute to the growth and development to our community and our society and our financial base in Tobago.
All right. All right. Well, Mr. Douglas, I want to thank you for being on with us and for sharing what's been going on there. And certainly something that we need to look at. And as you brought up, you know, just the way that we deal with flying fish and so on, it brings into question the whole conversation about sustainability in the way that we fish, because we want to make sure we continually have our fish for our future generations.
Yes.
So if we're not sustainable in our fishing methods, then we're not going to be able to have any for the future.
Correct, Kandace. Because if you look at what's taking place in the world right now, right? The boat wasn't working. The boat was down, and Tobago was practically starving. Tobago was practically starving. So what we need to concentrate on is our basic, our natural resources. So like fish and poultry and these things, we need to know to start to hoard and to have, so that we'll be able, in the event that Trinidad say they're not going to send the boat, at least we could have fish to eat. We could have cassava, we could have flour. We need to concentrate more on these entities, these enterprises, whereby we have sustainable. An army is only strong when you could feed it, you know. When you can't feed the army, it's waste of time, right? So we must be able to preserve the food security on island so that our people have the same quality of life they have in Trinidad, in Grenada, in America, or whatever the case may be, because we are able to feed ourselves and we put things in place to ensure that that happens.
All right, well, thank you so much, Mr. Douglas, again. And viewers, certainly thank you for being here with us and for viewing our program this morning. Hope you have a safe and wonderful day. And don't forget, you have brunch coming up at 10 a.m., so you want to check that out. See you then.
A brand new dawn, and as the passion start to rise.